This is Thunder, the desert shaman. I thought I'd talk about Civil War today. There's been a lot of bantering about on the internet and other places about how there's going to be a civil war. It sure feels like it sometimes, so I thought I'd talk about it. It definitely feels like we're a country divided right now. And that's exactly kind of what happened in the Civil War here. And civil wars can be very destructive. They can kill millions of people. They can kill more people than world wars kill. In fact, I think more people were killed in the Civil War than in World War II in this country. Upwards of 1 million people displaced or killed or maimed or injured or otherwise. And what was the Civil War in this country about? Well, if you look back, everybody says it was about slavery, but it wasn't just about slavery. It was about a division of thought. It was about slavery was a pivotal issue, of course. You know, you'd be ignorant to say that it wasn't some kind of issue, but that wasn't the only issue. That wasn't the whole ball of wax, so to speak. It was more about secession, and it was more about having the feds or the federal government telling people what to do in certain states when it affected their livelihood, okay? And slavery did affect people's livelihood and their property values and all kinds of things. So it goes way beyond just, oh, the Civil War was about slavery. No. It was about seceding from the Union and declaring that the Constitution was invalid or wasn't being followed. They made the Constitution null and void. Well, let's look at what's going on right now with the disparity of views in the country, the split in the country. Usually civil wars are about some kind of political situation, some kind of oppression, or somebody not liking a certain person that's in office or a certain political thing, or it could be a religious thing. I think we're seeing a whole different ball of wax here with this split that we're seeing now. I see it in terms of ideological differences, and then that's even suspect because the people that are out there that are, quote, social justice warriors, unquote. You know what a social justice warrior is? It's a person that takes up some cause, like civil rights or women's rights or gay rights or whatever, and tries to make it fit into their concept or their worldview of how society should be. And usually these people have their heads up their ass because they're more interested in what their what people on the whatever social network they're on, whether they get high kudos and approval. So they'll go on, people will go on, let's say activists or anybody for that matter, will go on whatever social network that they think that they should go on to try to get personal kudos or get gratification on a personal level about how they trumped everybody else in an argument or this and that. They're actually weak-minded people. They don't have any really deep, solid convictions. Okay, they're just surface people. And so the word social justice warrior has become a description of a surface person that just kind of goes with the flow. And you see that in these protests out there. These people are easily manipulated. They have no real deep convictions. When you see these people that are out there protesting the Trump presidency and everything surrounding the political thing, and see, there you go. There's a reason for civil war right there. But is there really a serious ideological divide? I question that because these again, these social justice warriors, these nuts out there for any cause. I mean, you got so many. I mean, okay, so there's the feminist thing, and then there's the black thing, the ethnicity thing, and then there's the civil rights. I guess that goes along with the black thing, and then there's the environmental thing. You got all these idiots out there trying to make points, okay, with their particular, group of people or their peers, and it's become like, oh, I'm popular, I'm in the groove, I'm doing the right thing, or I'm really liked because everybody looks up to me and they always reply to me on these social networks and that type of thing. It's very mundane. It's not deep-seated convictions at all. Most of these people are clueless as to real politics, what's going on, geopolitical stuff in the world. They don't really have a clue about it. They don't have a clue about they're not strategists. They're not looking at the whole big picture. They're not looking at all the wars and the causes behind the wars and what the government's really doing on a very deep level. They're just pushed around by these people like George Soros, and George Soros has become a catch name because he's one of the main guys, but there's a bunch of George Soroses, okay, out there funding these social justice warriors or these different groups. And so what they do is they attach themselves, they'll attach themselves financially to a certain organization that is associated with one of these groups, like the environment or like women's rights or like Black Lives Matter, that type thing. And so what they do, these rich high rollers, the elite, they hire protesters to go in and mingle with these other protesters that they're just being used. They're so malleable and they're so easily pushed into a certain direction that the people that have an agenda can infiltrate into their organization or infiltrate into their protests. And usually these people have on black masks and black clothing and can't really be identified. And they're actually paid mercenaries, okay, to sway a certain group of these social justice warriors a certain way. And they'll start in with, like say they infiltrate a protest, they'll start in by creating violence. Nobody else will be creating violence. They'll just be marching along, thinking that they're going on their little protest with their signs and everything, thinking that they're really cool and really hip because they're out there with their sign and they're saying this. They're saying, oh, Trump's a Nazi, or, immigration rights, or all this bullshit. They're just out there as a group of lunkheads that really, again, have no deep-seated convictions, or they don't have any really deep values. Most of them don't have any spiritual values whatsoever. They don't have deep spiritual values or even knowledge, okay? To me, they're just chaff blown about by the wind, okay? And so they're easily used, okay? And when they're easily used, when people like this are easily used, they can be multiplied in large numbers. The people with the money can get these people flowing in large numbers and do destructive things. And the destructive things, when they get these people in the black suits and the black face masks and stuff, throwing things through windows and burning things, well, this kind of rubs off on the other people. Because how many people in this world are really satisfied with their lot in life? Not too many. How many people have really wanted to strike out at the government somehow for some reason, okay? How many people have wanted to just get angry and throw a brick through a window? Well, a lot of people. A lot of people have that pin-up desire to just vent, okay? To vent. And so these agent provocateurs take advantage of these people wanting to vent, okay? And they see that they're already venting with the signs and all this stuff. So when they start a little circle of violence there in the middle of these protests, like a whirlwind, well, guess what? That kind of whips on out to the periphery of this whirlwind, and these people get sucked in. Next thing you know, a whole bunch of people are doing violence, committing violence, destroying things, starting fires, breaking windows, burning cars, hurting other people. So it's real easy to whip people up into a frenzy. So yeah, this is what civil war is all about. This is what you see these people doing. These people like George Soros and these elite people that are dissatisfied with the current administration and with the current way things are going will use all these different people to cause a divide, a division, okay? And this divide is the age-old divide and conquer thing. Age-old in warfare, divide and conquer. And really, they're not interested in one side or the other. They're just basically interested in their agenda, and they will use one side against the other to bring about civil unrest, to maybe bring about the division in a government, or the bringing down of a president, or the bringing down of a leader of a certain country. And these are typically called orange revolutions, or they're called, they have different names for them. The Orange Revolution, or the, what was the thing in the Middle East? The term slips me right now. It'll come to me. But basically, it's a revolution against the president. The Arab Spring. That's the word I was looking for. The Arab Spring, the Orange Revolution, the this, the that. Supposedly, this is all for democratic purposes, to get a better life or to get a better leader in there, or that type thing. And usually it's not for that at all. Usually what it's for is to oust some leader of some country, and this is usually done by some covert method that the U.S. thinks up. The U.S. is really the leader right now in breaking up countries, overthrowing countries by bringing down supposedly quote-unquote dictators like Gaddafi, like Saddam Hussein, like Assad in Syria, who they're still trying to bring down. They fomented a civil war over there. They took a small group of people that maybe were disenfranchised, just like these people here now that are not liking Trump that much. So maybe a small group of people didn't like Assad. And so what did they do? They extrapolated that out, funded that, fueled that fire, created the Free Syrian Army and this group, and that expanded out to Al-Qaeda, and next thing you know, we got ISIS in there. So the U.S. created this monstrous fucking war over in Syria, which has now taken the life of 300,000+ innocent men, women, and children. Children. And this is what they do. This is how they work. And so now they see that it works so well in other countries that, hell, why not do it here? Why not do it right here in the good old US of A? But see, they're playing with fire, because when they do this kind of thing, when they cause a division in this country, if they cause a civil war in this country, the carnage is just going to be unbelievable. It's going to be unbelievable. We better hope that there is not a civil war in this country, because there's a lot of guns in this country. Unlike other countries that don't have guns, they'll pick up sticks and stones or machetes, or like in Africa or whatever. But we got tons and tons of firepower here, and it's a good thing. I'm all for guns. But let's just put it this way. I've seen a couple of videos. I've been cruising around the net. I've been watching things. I've been watching the way things are going. And this is almost like a full circle thing, because the people in the South, okay, which was where the original civil war in this country was, the people in the South who believe that all these social justice warriors are a bunch of new age fucking freaks. And the people in the South who, yes, some of them are racist. Some of them have a dim view of, like, say, the blacks or the Black Lives Matter things. And they could give a fuck about these people out there doing their little protest thing and burning things and not having any deep convictions. But these people in the South are closer to having a deep conviction, and they're just itching to use their firearms, okay? The people in the South, they're itching to have some target to shoot at. So I saw a thing the other day where some black guy, and it was on one of these channels that was coming from the South. Okay, I won't mention any names here, but it was from a person that obviously has a militia type mentality from the South, and it was about a black guy that was flipping out on a video. Somehow they got a picture of a video of a black guy flipping out at some guy that had a Trump sticker on his truck, and they got into a verbal argument, and then the next thing you know, the black guy's grabbing a gun, and, well, of course, that upset a whole lot of fucking Trump people, and you put two and two together, and you find out that there's a whole bunch of Trump people down in Tennessee and some of the southern states. Of course there are. Not like the fringe lunatics on the coast, or the fruits and nuts on the coast. The land of fruits and nuts, okay, that's what some people call it. Hey, that's not my term. I'm just giving you a blow-by-blow description of what's going on here, people. I'm not really taking sides. I'm not saying anything that I'm in favor of this group of people or that group of people, but I'm definitely not in favor of social justice warriors who are allowing themselves to be used by the powers to be to promote their global order, to keep their grip on the political system that just passed away or is was in office, that was in alignment with the globalists and in alignment with the intelligence community. So it's real easy here to see just how these globalists, or who are aligned with the intelligence community, could start a freaking civil war. And yes, civil war could happen. Civil war could happen. So are we on the verge of a civil war? Well, hell, I think we're on the verge of a World War III that is infiltrating, or trickling down, shall we say, and causing a possible civil war at the same time, or maybe before or after or concurrent with a civil war. So yeah, we're in a shooting match, and there could be massive civil disorder, and there could be a civil war. So I'm glad I'm armed, and I'm glad I'm not in a city. I'm glad I'm out on a ranch here. As harsh as the weather is out here, and as extreme as it is, hell, I'd rather have that any day than be caught in a fucking city if this shit comes down, because you're going to see looting and rioting and all kinds of things you never saw before, deaths, hundreds of thousands, if it ignites. Am I saying that 100% sure that it's going to ignite? No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying there's a good chance, real good possibility. At the very least, a partial civil war, or enough for them to, for the globalists to let their agenda be promoted or whatever, or to bring down a president, or to impeach a president, or to do this and do that. So yeah, you know, they're fucking around with fire here, and they're using the citizens of the United States, and they're using these lunkhead social justice warriors that have all these causes cause they can, okay, just cause they can. Bunch of Fruit Loops, really, these people out there. And the thing that pisses me off is I don't like these people because they're allowing themselves to be used. Allowing themselves to be used, and don't have deep convictions, don't have a deep spirituality, maybe don't have a deep ancestral tradition like indigenous people. So there you have it. That's basically where we're at with this Civil War thing. It could happen. It could definitely happen. A civil war could happen. Let's hope it doesn't, because the food shelves will be bare. People will be raped, pillaged. There'll be gunfights. It remains to be seen, and supposedly there's going to be a big Arab Spring type, I think they call it. I don't know what they're call it a summer spring festival or May Day thing or something that these globalists are promoting now. That's supposedly supposed to happen when the warmer weather hits and we're in the middle of summer, and they can bring out hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of protesters. So yeah, I don't see this thing, and I said this a long time ago in my videos. I said it a long time ago that when Trump got into office, deep shit was going to happen. There was going to be a shitstorm you wouldn't fucking believe, and that's what's happening right now. That's what's happening. It's gotten worse and worse. It kind of petered out a little bit. First you had the Women's March, you know, which was totally friggin' ridiculous. And then you had the different marches around the country, the President's Day, not our president type thing. They'll use these people. And they're going to use them this summer, and it's just going to intensify unless something happens where Trump resigns, or God forbid, something else happens to him, like an assassination or something. Who knows? But this could go anywhere right now. And see, what makes it doubly dangerous, double D, the double danger. What makes it doubly dangerous is, say that 60 times, doubly dangerous, doubly dangerous. What makes it dangerous is the fact that there's instability, okay, in all these places like the Middle East. And you got this new president in there that's trying to get his shit together, and he's being fed all these, he's already been infiltrated. His organization has been infiltrated by neocons, and they're actually controlling. There's probably a neocon, this Priebus guy, that is getting all the right people in there for the globalists that are against Trump, and Trump's still naive, because when you go into an office like the presidency, you learn the hard way by going through the ropes. You know, you go through the you learn the ropes the hard way, because you're catapulted into some kind of situation that you really had no freaking idea how it works, especially if you're a businessman. Now, yeah, Trump's a good businessman, and he's bringing in all these people he's focusing on the job thing, but brother, you better not drop this foreign policy thing, because that's really what controls, that's really what is controlling the economy and every other goddamn thing. So there's enough people out there that I think Trump will get the feedback that he needs to maybe overcome the globalists. There's a slight bit of hope, but I'm not going to hold my breath with it. I just like to watch things, and that's what I'm doing, watching things and telling you people what I feel. So anyway, I'll just leave it there today. I think that's enough for today. So that's it. Adios.